what are some steps they can take to get engaged today?
Your school building administrator. They should have all the information for you. Engagement is like a snowball. You start, that's gonna lead to another engagement, and then another engagement.
What's been the biggest lesson you've learned?
It's bigger than you. I'm Tracey Blake, but I represent that district over Neabsco.
Welcome to Elected and Engaged Podcast. I'm your host, Mayor Derek Wood. Today's guest, Tracey Blake, is a school board member here in Prince William County, Virginia, who is a dynamic leader with over a decade of community engagement and involvement in the public school system. He has a deep-rooted understanding the educational landscape, particularly challenges faced by the students, teachers, and the families in his district. He's a father of three, a fervent advocate for education equity. His campaign when he ran centered around ensuring that every student has access to the necessary resources and opportunities regardless of their backgrounds. Join us today as we welcome locally elected school board member Tracey Blake. Welcome to the Elected and Engaged Podcast, Tracey. Glad to have you here today.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, what inspired you to, first of all, just over a decade of involvement in the school system? What inspired you locally to just start getting engaged? Take us up to like some of the things that you did to stay engaged before you got elected.
It was really, I think advocacy, a lot of people's advocacy starts with their kids, right? Like in the school, you want to make sure that the best is happening for your kids and that everything, is all right with your kids. You want to, especially in that kindergarten year, you're like, oh, I've let my baby go away, school, so you want to get involved in all the PTOs, the PTAs, the parent advisory councils. At least I did, because I wanted to see, what was going on. And I heard Minnieville was a Title I school, so I didn't really even know about Title I then, even me. And so I wanted to learn about all that. And I started actually just with the advisory council. I mean, I had did some work, organizing with Obama, OFA and stuff like that and during college and before. But this was really just my first real advocacy. I felt like it in the roots at home, grassroots, and in the local, local, not national. So I started with the advisory council, parent advisory council, which is in Prince William County schools. There's one at every school. And the advisory council is basically the governing council of each school. Mm-hmm. Where you have a PTO is a fundraising and event planning committee for each school. You have the advisory council, which you go over the budget, you go over what what everything that's happening in the school, what this money is being spent for. The parents get to make decisions on whether, should we spend this on technology this year or should we get more field trips? Or what do you think is important? So, I got involved in that type of thing. With that, I remember Mr. Provencio, Nathaniel Provencio, invited me to a family engagement conference in Richmond as a parent, parent leader. So it just became, advocating. And from then it just snowballed, going to these events, advocating for my community, being appointed to a superintendent's advisory. So the superintendent appointed me as his appointee to these committees, one on equity, one on instruction. So, it's just having that voice. And in all the time I was always just thinking like, our voice needs to be at the table, just making sure, let's see what's going on in these schools and hold the schools accountable, which you can do, and that's what I don't think a lot of people know, that you can hold these schools accountable by being involved in these different, parent organizations or advisory councils. But
and I think you also, if I'm not mistaken, worked on some campaigns behind the scene to help other school board members, and you work closely with them as well.
Yeah, I work really close with Miss Ralston. Diane, it's hard for me. Everybody calls her Miss Diane or Diane Ralston, but I call her Miss Ralston. I worked very close with her over the past 5 years, and I worked on her campaign as a co-chief of staff with me and her daughter, Monique Ralston, and helped her get reelected in 2019. And, she poured a lot into me. and I appreciate it. And I've, just been trying to carry on her legacy and move it forward, because she had did a lot of renovations in Neabsco, got rid of a lot of trailers, bringing the equity to Neabsco, getting science labs put into schools, with the renovations and things of that nature. So,
How important do you think in your early stages of being engaged with the school board as a parent, right? And very, very concerned about your kids' education. How important did a mentor play in your life?
oh, very, very important, because, they were pushing me to advocate. It was empowering me to begin to, I guess they saw whatever was inside of me, the God, what I say is God, though, got me doing this type of stuff. But I guess they saw whatever was inside of me and was like, empowered me to start empowering other parents. This is going on. You should come do this. Or, this event is happening. Getting fathers to come in, like, hey, we could come in here to lunch, eat lunch with the kids. Your kid would love that. And, sometimes people don't even know. Mm-hmm. You don't know what you don't know. But
right.
Then when you tell them, and they take advantage of these opportunities, of course, the pandemic, halted a lot of that stuff, but we're coming back around to normal now, a little bit more normalcy. So
a lot of people hear the word advocacy, but me and you sitting at home at the gym playing basketball, we really don't know what advocacy is watching this. How would you define advocacy to, the younger version of you, that college kid, that high school kid, that parent who don't know what advocacy is? How would you define advocacy for them?
Being a voice. When you see something, inequity or something that just should be better, or you want something to be better for your community, your county, wherever it is, it's just trying to bring progressive change. Mm-hmm. Advocacy is just bringing, you can advocate for, I'm sure, for negative things, but this advocacy is, positive advocacy for progression.
So how did you go from just advocating, being engaged, to actually getting elected as a school board member in one of tell us the size of what's Prince William County ranks in the nation right now as far as the school system?
The school system is the 37th biggest, largest in the nation, and the second biggest in the Commonwealth. And I know our ranks, our national ranks, are in the top 25 as well. I'm not sure exactly where they're at. But.
Yeah. So what inspired you, the second largest in the Commonwealth of Virginia, to go from being a concerned dad who's advocating for your kids to get the same thing that the other kids on the other side of town was getting, right, to now you was like, I need to be an elected school board member. What was your thought process that made you take that leap?
It was really just getting the community, knowing the community, each one of those committees, and every time I was on one of those advisory councils, the advisory council would switch over, but I would remain on that advisory council. So it would always be another group of parents coming in. So that group of parents knew me. So at this elementary school, so we were all grouped in. So all the Neabsco schools was grouped together. So I knew a lot of people. And after they would come back, after they would leave out of those advisory councils, they would come back to me, ask questions. And I got to starting to see that, and I had the answers because of where I was, the proximity to where I was on these advisory councils. And I was able to, really start to affect change, like be able to talk to people like, this is happening. We need to, this way, we need these things here. We need these supports, this type of thing. So once I saw that, and I saw that you really could affect change, why not? Why not me? And why not be a role model for the younger version of me, So let people know that they could do it.
What steps did you take to get elected? Like, what was that process?
Oh, that was a lot of hard work. You mean just all to the petition
process?
signatures?
Like somebody watching this, they're on their PTO. Their kids is You know, like what steps do they have to take to
get
now
there.
say, I'm throwing my hat over the fence and I want to get elected for office?
Anybody can do it. Anybody can run for office. And if you feel like you have the answer for your community, that is America. That's democracy, right? That's our democracy. And I mean, of course, you should really be involved. Like I feel like these advisory councils, I would tell you, are farm teams. So the quote unquote, like a farm teams, because you get in, you learn about the budget, you get all these presentations that are happening in the school.
So what's a farm? You said a farm team.
A farm team, so like a minor league.
Okay.
So you have the school board. It's like you're grooming. They're kind of like you're grooming your next leaders to be
almost
on
like
that
a big
board.
funnel.
Right.
And so the bottom is you have farm teams, you have parent teachers organizations. What are some of the other
parent advisory councils? Then you have the gifted advisory. You have the special education advisory. You have our CTE advisory. CTE is
career technical
education. You have you have advisory council on instruction, on equity, on sustainability. We have a Head Start policy council. We have a health and safety council, schools health and safety. So I mean, they're all advisory councils, which are
who are they advising?
The superintendent. They're all the superintendent's advisory councils.
So they're not working with the elected officials. They're working with the superintendent.
Yes.
And the superintendent is hired by the school board.
The school board. So the superintendent, the superintendent does everything operational. That's her. The school board is there. Our job is to hire a superintendent, a great superintendent, hopefully, and we did with Dr. McDade. She is a great superintendent. We're very lucky to have her here. And we, just set the policy from the VODE, and then we create the policy. But everything operational that's Dr. McDade. That's her. We worked, hand in hand with her strategic vision and the plan for the district. But Dr. McDade is operational. That's her.
I think that's a great thing to look at, because most of the time people look at the elected school board member and they think the school board member is responsible for the principals and some of the individual schools and stuff like that. What specifically, what is the role like for somebody on the school board? And oftentimes I think people see these school board members too, they think it's a full-time job for you. So let's talk about what are some of the roles and responsibility that an elected school board member here in Virginia has the responsibility.
So a lot of the roles. So it depends on if you're on a committee. Like I'm on a disciplinary committee, so I do have a little bit more.
So this is good to talk about. So once you get elected.
Right. Once you get elected, you get put onto different committees, right? That are different committees to work that work on the subcommittees of the board. So it's not a full-time job, but it's a full-time job.
Right.
And it's we serving leaders, so it's not a full-time job, right? It's service. And it's a lot of representation, going to the events, showing up, speaking, showing the significance of the event. Just like yesterday, I went to the unified track meet right here down the street at Forest Park, the high school unified track meet, just to see that inclusion and letting them know that that's important. Like that represents our values here in this community, inclusion of all of us, right? Mm-hmm. So, and just showing up there, talking to people, learning about what's right, what's going good, right, what's going wrong. So really, when you're on the school board, you just go. You're not there to be. I'm not there. I'm there to look and see what's going on, see what McDade is carrying out, McDade and her staff, what they're doing, and come back and tell the community about it. And I'm here to be a gateway to the community, a voice between the school district and the parents and our stakeholders.
Have you seen a big difference from being on the side where you've been an advocate, right? You've been a parent advocate, you've been an advisor to the superintendent, to now you're elected. Now you're the superintendent's boss and you're kind of overseeing. So what's it like from you now going from being engaged to now you're an elected official? What's been that transition?
It's you know, it's a good honor. It's a big honor and a lot of responsibility, but the transition hasn't been too difficult for me to per se because I had that working relationship because I was, as I said before, I was her appointee. I was Dr. Waltz, the previous. So Dr. Waltz was the previous school board. I mean the school superintendent. 16 years, I believe, here in Prince William County, and Dr. McDade is our present superintendent, and she's been for the past 3 years. And I've been both of their appointees on those committees, so I had a little bit of working knowledge. I didn't have the inside and knowing all of that stuff. Yeah, that's a lot different. Like knowing and understanding why decisions are made and what that and coming out the budget season. That's just is really crazy. So like I didn't know anything. Even getting those presentations before, that was different. That was a lot, but we passed a great budget as well. So
what advice would you give to somebody who's now preparing to run for a school board in their local city, right, or their town or their state? Like, what advice would you give them as they begin to prepare to run for office?
Be engaged. Engagement is key. Like I'm telling you, engagement is like a snowball, because once you get engaged, you start, that's going to lead to another engagement and then another engagement and another engagement, and it's important, especially in the school system, because schools don't work unless it's that partnership with the family, community, and the schools all working together, because it's not a cliche. It takes a village, right? That's what they say. So, that's what I would say. Be engaged. Everything you can do, especially in your unique school community. Mm-hmm. In that community, be engaged. In that community and work there and work out.
So, you've been elected and serving for a while. There's underserved community, and then there's a community who might feel the community might feel it's overserved, right? And so you got different level of engagement for parents. What is, now you being on the school board, what is the greatest challenge or opportunity with certain parents and getting them engaged? Like, are you seeing a huge amount of engagement for parents, or parents right now are hands off and disengaged?
No, I'd say a lot of engagement, especially in so like I said, I didn't say, but I just went to a multicultural night the other night at King Elementary, and I had been to one at Penn and one at Minnieville. But what I'm saying is it's a lot of engagement, a lot of parents, a lot of families that out there trying to, learn what's going on with the system. And Dr. McGade, since she's come in, has been very good with, that's one of her strategic, commitments, family and community engagement, the third one. So it's been good. Especially in my community, it's been good, and I've been happy to see that, actually. So
there's been a rise that we've seen on TikTok, Instagram, social media of these now kids filming, because you said you're on the disciplinary one. So I want to talk about, how do we handle, from a community standpoint, some of the fights that they're just sitting around videotaping and some of the, some of that stuff. Is that just isolated stuff, or have you seen it come down, or is there an uptick?
I think that what I've heard is, and the phones are a problem. Yeah. And I mean, the kids they've always had fights and skirmishes and things like that, but the phones are amplifying this stuff. They be creating real-time bullying, like with the Snapchat, real-time, just where it can go out to, 400 people all at once, where a picture or something, a meme. And so, personally, me with the phones, I think they just need to be off during the school day. We are looking into some things with that, with some pilot, right? There's a program now, a pilot program at a couple of the middle schools was off and away for the day is what it's called. So and we're just you got to figure out what you try to see how that works. And then I know there's this thing called you heard of these yonder bags? It's a magnetic bag, or you
They
put the
use them at
lock
the
on.
concerts, like so
Right,
that you can't
right,
film at these concerts and
right.
stuff.
So that might be a option that we go to once we see how this pilot works. I'm saying the teachers love it. Because really, the kids are being distracted in the schools now. Not only is it with the discipline, with the fights and the filming and the ooh and all of that. It's also the instruction part of it, right? They're just sitting there all day, just looking at the.
Yeah.
So the teachers like it being gone too, I believe.
So as an elected school board member, what are like some of the maybe one big goal that you want to accomplish that'll be like Tracey Blake's legacy? Like what's that thing that you want to accomplish? And what do you think the challenge or the thing that you'll need to overcome to get that to the finish line? Whether it's a policy or some things you want to see?
Expanding early childhood education in PWCS, so creating a universal pre-K. For us, so our families don't have to, that daycare, we could take that bill away from them. That could be whatever they're gonna do with that money. Put away for college, go on vacation that year. I don't know, because I know when I had daycare, it was like a mortgage. You know what I'm saying? $800, $900 a week for one kid.
Wow.
So, just trying to, and that was 10 years ago, so I don't even know where it is now, so I hope that's one of my
what is
things.
it? Tell us, what is universal child care?
It's universal pre-K. So
Pre-K,
it's
okay.
So it's basic, so what it is kindergarten, but at pre-K. So it's at everywhere.
3 and 4 year olds?
3-4-year-olds could go to school. Everybody's 3 and 4-year-olds are in school.
So you level the playing field so that now the family that has money doesn't have a head start, and when their kid gets to kindergarten, their kids are already reading.
Right.
Okay.
And I think it was gonna break up that pipeline, that
prison
school to prison pipeline, because the literacy kids gonna be literate at probably at first grade now. Like at first grade, we're not even gonna wait to third grade for you to decide. They're gonna be reading at first grade because everybody learning all the same things at preschool, right? So you come in there, you learn because at that younger age, people don't know you learning how to learn. You learn how to follow instructions. You learn how to sit down. All of these things, right?
Discipline.
So some kids that don't get that, that's why they come in there in that first year and second year, they don't get it. So like you said, leveling the playing field, and really just that's what I want to do. I've seen it done in cities. It takes, it's gonna take funding.
Yeah.
You said what's gonna be the biggest hurdle? Money.
Yeah,
so money and space. I mean, in our CIP this year, we already approved
your CIP, your capital improvement
plan in our budget. We approved four new 15 classroom early childhood special education buildings that we're going to
that's big.
Yeah, because the kids are getting identified at an earlier age now for either whether it's special education, could be anything. It could be a learning disability, it could be a emotional disability, behavior disability. But they get in, that's how you can get into the early education earlier. So like my son, he got into preschool because his speech at 3.
Oh, wow.
So he's what did they say, very articulate. Like he's had his speech pathologist for 4 years. It's just the fact you got to make sure that they not misdiagnosing your kid, adding on because
titles.
Right, because his speech that he don't understand this or that, what's going on. No, he just have a hard time pronouncing things.
When we was growing up, it'd be like you had learning disability,
right,
or
right.
You went into
they would put all type of things, they would heap all type of diagnosis on top of you just not stuttering or not being able to pronounce a word the right way. Then it's he got this and he got that. So
wow.
Yeah.
So what has been, since you've been elected, what's been the biggest lesson you've learned as an elected official on the local level?
Oh, you just you gotta be everybody watching you all the time, and you always gotta always be on your P's and Q's and always represent your district. That's what else you got to understand. It's bigger than you. You know, it's not you. I'm Tracey Blake, but I represent that district over the Neabsco. So that's really what I've been.
And a part of the second largest school district in the state.
Right, right. And on the board, what a lot of other people don't understand, that board is, I'm no one more powerful than Barbara Lateef, than, you know, Lisa Zagaport and Miss Wall, Jennifer Wall. And we all together make that board. It's 8 people that make that one board. So
So you got a chair, a vice chair, and 6 other members.
6 other members. And we all, you know, it has a majority vote. So, and that's another thing that I think people don't, that was something that I learned also, because even if I don't agree with something, once the vote passes, if that passes, the board, and if the board agreed, the board supported it, I am part of that board, then I have to support that. And that is something that I also something that I learned too, so.
Want to ask some closing questions, some signature questions. You know, if somebody wants to really get involved, and I think you really touched on it, what are some steps they can take to get engaged today?
Right now, go talk to your administrator, your school building administrator. They should have all the information for you.
Is that like the principal? Who's
the principal? I would say so. The school business administrator, your principal, your vice principal, even your front office. Really, I'm gonna tell you the truth. The person that knows everything in a school is that secretary sitting at the front of that building that you see every day when you walk in. They know everything that's going on. Ask them. I mean, go in and say hello and, you know, introduce yourself if you don't know them, and ask them, is there anything I could, I mean, I didn't say this when we started, but I remember now, even the smallest things, going in and starting making cutouts for the teachers so that they could keep teaching their lessons, you know what I mean? And we would be in there cutting out, you know, for the class, or doing whatever project for the teachers to help them. This is all type of little things you could just do to go in there and just ask that. Do you need me to come make copies? I don't know if they still making copies like that, but, you know, anything to help out a teacher, and you get involved and see what's really going on. Don't listen to what you reading or what you hearing on TV. Like, I'm telling you, right? I'm telling you, in our county, all that parent, you could go be involved. Parents' rights is big out here. So, and I'm a big advocate for that. So, you know how they talk about parents' rights? Yes, it's big out here, and you can go be as involved as you want in the school or not involved, you know, so.
What do you say to that parent or that person who's been actively engaged in their community, and now they're thinking about it, they're contemplating in their district, or they're wherever they're at right now, they're like, hey, I think I got some solutions and some ideas, and I think I now want to run for office. What would you tell that parent or that person to do to start preparing to get elected into office? You know, if you gave them one best piece of advice.
The best piece of advice, I'm telling you, is with the community. It always goes back to engagement with the community, and then letting them know and talking to them and advocating. And when I'm saying with engagement with the community, your local political party, your local civic organizations, schools, and all of these things, right? So, and it just be involved. Let people know your vision, and especially if the person in front of you not doing what you think is right, then you got to go try to step up to the plate. Don't be on the sidelines complaining.
4 years from now, where will we see Tracey Blake? It's 4 years from now. You looking back on this podcast. Tell us what's that big thing that you have accomplished in the next 4 years that we can look back and say, hey, you said it on the Elected and Engaged podcast.
Oh, okay. So I know what I can do in 4 years is going to be bringing the support to my EL community. So I didn't say, so EL is in my English learners, language learners community. In Neabsco, we have a very big population of English language learners, and they haven't always had the same support as everybody else. The same importance has been placed on them as everybody else, and I want to make sure within 4 years they're gonna have all the same supports and be able to do and have the same opportunities. without having barriers placed in front of them.
How can people find you and follow you on your socials? Plug your socials.
Oh,
Tell people how
so
they...
my is at grass guru is my Twitter, or my X is the X.
Twitter
right?
X,
so,
yeah.
GRASSGURU, and from there you can find my other socials. But I just really, like I said, appreciate the opportunity to be able to. This is a form of advocacy too, and just empowerment. So thank you for letting me be able to do that.
Absolutely. Well, thank y'all for watching this episode of Elected and Engaged. We've been talking to school board member Tracey Blake of Prince William County Public Schools, the second largest school district in the Commonwealth. Make sure that you subscribe to this podcast. Make sure that you like this podcast. Make sure you just leave a comment or a review or a word of encouragement. If you're looking for more advice and tips on how you can be engaged and elected in your community, then make sure you continue to watch and stay tuned for more episodes of the Elected and Engaged podcast. I'm your host, Mayor Derek Wood, and we are your voice for local leadership.